with you, brother?
Sator has searched you. There is nothing covered up that will not be revealed. What can't be seen in the dark can be shown in the light.
Hey there, LRM Universe. Anthony Esteves here, and I am joined by filmmaker Jordan Graham, the creative talent behind the upcoming horror indie flick Sator. And let me just say, wow. That's the first thing I had to say for you, Jordan. Thank you for joining, by the way. Thank you for joining us in LRM.
Yeah, thank you.
First things first, this is easily probably one of the best indie horror flicks I've watched. Just quality alone, the quality alone to it. And before even getting into the story, the quality itself is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. First things first, what inspired the story of Sator?
That question is always so difficult because I have so many, there are different inspirations from different places. And like, since this project's been going on took me 7 years, my initial script, I don't even really remember most of my initial story. But I guess the easiest way for me to answer that is my grandmother was pretty much the biggest inspiration of this film. She is one of the main characters of this film, and she was not even supposed to be a part of it until because I was using her house as a location. But how the story came about with her is that in real life in 1968, she brought home a Ouija board and summoned an entity named Sator, and Sator became a huge part of her life, especially for the 3 months, the summer months of 1968. She ended up speaking to him through something called automatic writings, which is she just allowed him to speak through her, and then she would write down everything that he said. And within 3 months, she ended up in a psychiatric hospital. And I had no idea, I didn't know anything about this before I started shooting the movie. So, like I said, I had my original story. So I started shooting, and we used her location, her house as a location. And I was like, let's just get a quick cameo of her in the film. It'll be like an improvisational thing. And I told one of the actors to talk about spirits, because that'll get her talking. I knew about Sator at that point, but it was more of like just a guardian of hers. I didn't realize the impact that she had on, or that he had on her life and my entire family. So they started talking in this improvisational scene, and Sator, she started bringing up the automatic writings, which I didn't know what that was at that point. And she's never shared it with me. Like she's never shared it with the family, really. So that was a very lucky thing that happened. And so then after that day, I went home and watched the footage, and then I started doing research on my family's history, and then went back and did more interviews with my grandmother, and then that's kind of how the story was formed. Is probably I could talk about that for hours, but how do I simplify it as much as I possibly can?
It always starts with a Ouija board. I'm not going to even go into the history that my wife's side has had regarding Ouija boards, but that's always the beginning of it.
My mom's like, you can't, not after, because of this, because Sator like traumatized my family, so we're not allowed to have, or she's not allowed to have Ouija boards in her house, and yeah.
So the design of Sator, was that something you had come up with from the writings, or just your own original creation of it?
That was my own thing beforehand. So like I said, I had like two stories that I was trying to combine, and that was probably the most tedious part of the whole film, not the creatures part, but just trying to connect her story with my story while shooting. I would have to take week breaks to figure out how to make it work. But the creation of the creature itself, I want it to be, because it's not really I don't know what's spoiling, but it's not really like a creature, I guess. It's it was supposed to be like a costume that they're wearing. Cause one of the inspirations, I guess, was the Blair Witch Project. And what I loved with the Blair Witch Project is that you don't see the witch, and everybody like knows that. And that, and I was like, how can I do that same thing with this film? But if I don't show a creature, I feel like I'd be kind of cheating my audience, because the film is kind of slow, and I'd like to give them something. And so having them wear the forest, like animals from the forest, and having like I bought like 60 different animal carcasses and created a costume out of that. I only built one costume. It was too much. I did like camera trickery and stuff to make it look like there were multiple ones. But
that thing was creepy as hell.
Well, like the actual satyr, like the satyr at the end, when you see that was only, I bought a ram skull, and the skull was way too small for anybody to wear. So I made like a cross out of wood, and then I put the costume over that, and then I put the ram skull on that cross, and then I put a fishing wire and pulled the fishing wire. Yeah, I pulled it, and it would be able to move the head. And so
it was fantastically done. By the way, for our audience watching, the synopsis of Sator: secluded in a desolate forest, a broken family is observed by Sator, a supernatural entity who is attempting to claim them. So a lot of this movie takes place in the forest, and it was Yosemite, correct, that you filmed that in?
So I shot 2 days in Yosemite. I shot 120 days on this film. 2 of those days were in Yosemite. The rest was in the Santa Cruz Mountains.
Nice. So first off, it's visually stunning, this movie. It's the way you take in the scenery. It's so well done, the way you basically kept it out in the forest, but still kept this like claustrophobic feeling for the main character throughout it. And so it's like characters out in the open, but you feel so closed in on his story that it's that adds to like the anxiety in it.
And even like, well, yeah, visually with that, I was going to have scenes where he's like out in open valleys, and as we were shooting the film, I was like, I'm really liking the being within the trees. And pretty much for his portion of the story, I never really went above the tree line. And then I also had rules with, or one major rule is that I didn't want any evidence of sun in the film. So visually you can see everything. It's all like soft, the light's all soft, but that's probably adds to making it claustrophobic.
When I was watching this, I felt, like you said, it has a slow burn and leads up to this heart racing, pulse pounding finale. And it felt, if I had to compare it to other storytellers, your story development was very John Carpenter Halloween, where they made the audience wait for Michael to get to Laurie. This felt like that. And your visuals, the first thing I thought of was Alejandro Iñárritu in The Revenant. I felt Revenant feelings throughout this entire movie.
So when you get to like the snow at the end, that was definitely when I was out there shooting that. I was like, oh yeah, people will compare it to that.
It just had that feeling.
So lucky with the weather was just, I mean, again, it's 120 days of shooting, and I'm by myself most of the time with an actor or two. And so I just have like all the time in the world to just wait for the right conditions. Some of them were completely lucky. Like that's the snow at the end. I wanted there to be snow on the trees, and I went up there the first day because that's about 3 hours away from where I'm at. We'll go over there, and it was supposed to be snowing, and it never snowed, and I got that great opening shot, and that was it really the first day. And then we waited a couple months for it to snow, and then now we're getting into March, and the snow is starting to go away, and they're like, okay, well, like I have to get snow on the ground now. We're not gonna get the snow falling on the trees. And I found a day that said it was about gonna be maybe 20% snow, and it was only gonna be like a half an inch or something like that. And so like we just gotta go. And so we drive up there at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and the sun's not even out yet, and it's just snowing and snowing and snowing. And I'm just like, please stay like this until it's light enough to shoot. As soon as it was light enough to shoot, the snow, I mean, we got with the snow, and it's getting like building up on the trees and collapsing, and it stayed like that the entire day. So I was just able to shoot where it was just nonstop snow. It was luck like that.
The patience helped, because
Yeah,
it came over beautifully on this side of the screen watching it. What inspirations did you have directing wise? Where, like, I mean, I mentioned Carpenter and Inarritu. What were some of the inspirations you had there?
So since this project took a long time, I started off with inspirations, and then I moved on to other inspirations. So it started off with the biggest one at the beginning was Blue Ruin from Jeremy Saulnier. Because I learned through like his Kickstarter, he raised like $40,000, and it's like, this is what he was able to do with $40,000. And it's like, I can do that. But then I learned that he ended up like selling his house, and the budget was a lot higher than that. But that was a big inspiration at first. And then the first season of True Detective was also a major.
Ooh, yeah.
A major.
Oh, now I see that. Now I see that.
So that was like the initial one, and then while I was shooting, I got really into Under the Skin, Jonathan Glazer, and then Only God Forgives, and so that was probably while I was shooting. Inspirations would keep coming in, like David Lynch would come in, like the very last shot of the film with the rabbits. That was kind of an inspiration there. And then I get a lot of Kubrick inspirations.
Oh, nice.
And then when post-production, like what I would get The Witch, for coloring the film, because the film's really dark, I had The Witch right next to my film, and help that as a reference for coloring.
Now I see, thinking about that. Yeah, I see that now.
And it was a really good, because the film is dark and The Witch is also dark, and that also allowed me to be like, okay, if The Witch can go that dark visually, then I can get away with that here. So I made sure not to make things too dark if possible.
Yeah.
And then like Ari Aster, and the Safdie brothers, that's my inspiration now, I guess. I'm obsessed with Yorgo Lanthimos. I like The Killing of the Sacred Deer. I love, and Gaspar Noé. So.
Good. These are perfect inspirations you're using from.
Yeah, they change. Like I go through like obsessions of certain directors, and
I feel there. I understand that.
Yeah.
But some people might not know, you didn't just write and direct this movie. You produced, you edited, you were cinematography, you created the score. What inspired you with the score itself? What were you thinking of as you were?
I'm not a musician at all, but one of the creepiest things that I've heard is the credits to the Blair Witch Project.
Yes.
Credit song, which is just a bunch of sound effects. And that was pretty much like the biggest inspiration. And how I created the score was, again, I'm not a musician, so it's just creating sound effects. So a big one is like, I'll take So like, let's say this is a pot, like I put a microphone under there and I rub the top and I do sound effects like that. I took nuts and bolts and I would drop them in. I had a bass guitar, and a violin bow, and I would just make sound effects off that. And that was pretty much that's all I used. Yeah, pots, pans, nuts, bolts, bass guitar,
So
and
creative.
violin bow.
That's so creative. I always harpen back to Carpenter about guerrilla filmmaking. You literally,
Yeah.
that's what you were doing here. You were guerrilla
Yeah.
filmmaking right down to the score. And
well, yeah, the whole thing, like, I mean, just the whole process was basically pretty much by myself, from pre-production to production, especially post-production. I had there was nobody assisting me on post-production for anything.
That's incredible. And even more so, the main character Adam, correct? You built the cabin that he's in?
Yeah. So that was in my mom allowed me to, or gave me permission to construct a cabin in her backyard. This was probably this is about 6 blocks away from the ocean. So we're not in the forest at all there. I got a lot of the materials that were donated to me. I built the cabin for about $1,500 from like just a lot. The day that I started building, the neighbor decided to tear up his deck, and so he gave me all that wood so I can build the floor.
Nice.
A lot of the walls were made of a fence, and then I was collecting as I was writing and trying to figure out how to finance this thing. I was collecting stuff to decorate it, and a lot of the stuff inside of the cabin was from my grandmother's house too. Yeah, so it took me. I had one friend that helped me with the framing, so I can at least stay up there for 2 years or so. And then he helped me with a couple other things, but it took me about 2 months to build the cabin. Yeah.
Superb. I mean, the way you cut this together, you can't, there's no way of noticing that was someone's backyard in Santa Cruz, because the way you've cut that, it looks like it's right there in Yosemite, right there in the mountains.
Yeah. And the exterior of the cabin was just photos I took of other cabins or in the area, and then I combined them all together to make it kind of look like my cabin, and then I photoshopped it and so there was never like an actual cabin outside. But like, because sound was such a pain in this film, I couldn't actually capture the sound on the day, except for when my grandmother speaks. It's pretty much it. And that was like because of the cabin, we were in like a suburban area, and there's the neighbors are in their hot tub as we're shooting, like 2 feet away from the cabin, basically. And so the sound, it was like the film is very quiet, and you hear everything. I don't have like a lot of music to cover up stuff. There's not a lot of dialogue to cover up sound effects, and so every little crunch and every little piece of cloth I did in post-production. It took me a year and 4 months to do just that process alone.
So credit to your cast to be able to stay in the zone as the neighbors are in the hot tub.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, yeah. They were. Yeah, it's just that was 5 years ago that we shot the thing, so it's like trying to figure out or remember how they were when we were in the cabin. A lot of times they were just like we can't believe we're shooting this thing, and we didn't really know what it was going to become. So.
And now here you are. I mean, the film itself, you won Best Director at, I believe I'm saying this right, Francispoa International Film Festival.
Yeah, that was a surprise. Yeah. That was pretty cool. Like, that was the first and only award that's the first award I've ever received in my life. So
well deserved from this work.
It was pretty cool. Yeah.
So I mean, you have that. It's getting reviews from Variety, from Bloody Disgusting, from Slash Film. So much acclaim that's coming your way toward this film. What's next for Sator?
Hopefully people can start seeing it.
Right.
Like it's been it's strange that like I've been working on it so long, and now I have less than 3 weeks, I think, until it comes out, or maybe 3 weeks around. It's weird that people are actually going to start seeing this project now. It's been screened a handful of times, and that's about it. So I'm excited for people to watch it and then maybe create some sort of following. I would love to get, obviously, next projects going. I'll never make a film by myself again. So
I don't blame you for
like
that.
the variety review really helped. Like it definitely opened up some doors for me. So I mean, nothing's like guaranteed, and like I'm always cautious, or I never expect anything to happen. So if things do, then I'll be very happy. And
Cautiously optimistic.
that was the I was looking for.
It's deserving of many more eyes on it, because the work you put into this film, it shows on the screen. Every single second of every frame of this film. If you can make a terrific cinematic achievement like Sator on your own with your bare hands, literally, you can only imagine what you could create if you had like a A24 funding, or Warner Brothers got involved, or whoever. So I mean, you on your own making this.
I definitely think about that. I still want my projects for a while to remain small.
Oh yeah.
But like, I think the biggest benefit of that is that I can start writing for other actors that aren't my friends, because I kind of write to like their capabilities. And the last couple of years of writing new projects, it's been nice to not think about that. And so I feel like I want to be a better storyteller more than, I mean, of course I want things to look beautiful, and
yeah.
So
I don't think you need much. I don't think you need any tips when it comes to the visual aspect of your filming, because Sator alone shows that you've got what it takes to make a major motion picture.
I would definitely like. I mean, I would love to work with a real cinematographer. I don't consider myself a cinematographer. I know I can make things look pretty, but I would definitely like to work with a cinematographer that can at least get what I'm trying to get across visually. Yeah.
And I think you have the calling card right now in your pocket. Can you?
Thank you. That was definitely like one of the main reasons of doing this myself, was to just kind of show like how much I really care about the art of this, and that I can make something of quality, and that's why I wanted everything to be as much of from myself as possible. Like with the sound, I didn't want to do sound or use any sound libraries. I wanted everything to be created from me, so I could possibly get other projects made in the future.
It shows on the screen, man. It shows on the screen. Jordan, can you let our LRM universe know when Sator comes out and where they can go to get more information on Sator?
Yeah, it comes out February 9th, and it'll be on Amazon and iTunes and other streaming platforms. It is going on to other platforms later, but I don't think I'm allowed to say that now. And what was the other question?
And I believe it is these studios involved on Twitter are 1091 Pictures and Yellow Veil Pictures. I believe I'm saying the names. Yes, they are on Twitter. So if anyone wants to check out more information on Sator, you can follow those two on Twitter.
I have my Instagram, Jordan Graham Film.
There it is, Jordan Graham Film. I followed you.
Okay. Oh, cool. I'll be back.
Jordan, once again, thank you for being with us here at LRM. Sator is the film. Jordan Graham is the director. And when you get the chance to see this movie, please go watch it. It is a artistic horror film. It makes you earn it, but I'm telling you, it's worth every second, because I was literally glued to my computer as I was watching it.
It's nice to hear. I like
yeah.
hearing things like that, because I never know what people are going to think of this thing. And so
I'm a movie fanatic and a horror fanatic, so you covered both aspects right there in this movie. So Jordan Graham, once again, thank you for joining us here at LRM.
Thank you.